Hey y'all, this took place the summer of 2022, and I just never thought of writing down this story because I was so stunned that it happened to me. So every summer in my city, me and my friends like to make small campfires in chill, secluded areas because we don't want to drive an hour to an actual campsite and pay any campsite fee to do so. These also happen pretty spontaneously, so it's a nice last-minute hang to do. There's this one spot near my house that's located by a river that's really nice because no one usually goes there. The only thing to be worried about are bears though, because living in the Pacific Northwest is challenging like that, and my house specifically is located right next to mountains and forest. So one particular night at 11:00 p.m., I decide to go ahead of my friends and meet them at the spot and set things up early because I want us to be chilling once they all get there. The spot I get to has a 2-minute paved walkway I have to go through, and then I have to take a small trail, ramping down the right side of the bridge that crosses over the river. Along this paved walkway is 2 lamps located at halfway and another at the start of the bridge. The ramp down to the campfire spot. I park my car at the beginning of the trail on the street and bring my campfire stuff like flashlight, lighter, small firewood, small shovel to dig out the pit, etc. I get to the spot and it's a small sandy beach kind of embankment on the side of the river, with a small waiting area for toddlers with their families during the hot summers. So I set up the chair and I get to digging the pit with only my flashlight illuminating where I'm digging. I'm also just shoveling the sand right next to me, nowhere near the water, but all of a sudden I hear a loud splash. A splash so loud that it can only come from something equally large like a 2-hand-sized rock. I'm confused because I swear I'm not throwing my sand into the water even though I'm only a few feet away. I shine my flashlight at the water and I don't see anything, so I kind of just brush it off, thinking I'm just hearing things. But as I keep shoveling a bit more, I hear another loud splash. At this point, I think something is falling from above because logically something must be falling into the water. I point the flashlight above where some trees are above the river and I don't see anything big enough to make the splash. So as I keep digging, with my heart rate kind of going at this point, I hear a rustling past the arch of where the bridge goes over the river. I quickly grab my light and shine it towards where I heard the rustling. I call out, "Hey, hello?" No response. In my head, if it was a bear, I should be getting out of there immediately, but there was no bear, or signs of anything for that matter. So I tell myself I'm just hearing things now because I've seen horror movies before and now my mind is playing tricks on me. But I hear the noise again and it clearly sounds like leaves being rustled, so I shine my flashlight over to the area again. And as I focus my eyes towards the illuminated area, I see the naked back of a man hunched over. I was kind of frozen in anxiety and stress because, honestly, of all the things I was to see, I didn't think I'd see the naked back of a man. From the quick analysis my brain could muster up, he looked to be mid-40s, shaved, not bald, and medium-ish build, like a mix between chubby and built. As I had my flashlight staying on his back, he started to stand up, and the first thing I noticed was that he wasn't wearing any pants either. My next reflex was to start packing up all my crap and getting the hell out of there, because now I'm piecing in my head that he must have been throwing things into the water to scare or shoo me away. So after using my reflexive deductive skills, I proceeded to speedwalk out of there with all my stuff. I'm carrying all my things with me, and briskly walk up the small ramp, and I'm on the paved path now out of the forest. I can feel my heart beating in my chest, and I am frequently looking back to make sure I'm not being followed. I'm in Crocs, mind you, so I'm hoping that if I have to book it out of there, I'd regret not being in sport mode from the get-go. I make it to the halfway point, and a sense of relief starts setting in, knowing I made it safely out of this very scary situation. But as I check behind me for the final time, I see something. Slowly creeping over the ramp is the naked man crawling on all fours as if he was primate walking. His head was positioned towards me, looking at me as he made his way to the middle of the paved walkway. He slowly gets up from his stance and starts standing on his feet and positions his body to face me. After setting himself into his new position, the man starts running towards me. I freaking book it. I run as hard as I can down the path. My flashlight jumped out of my pocket and I lost it, but I didn't care because a whole naked-ass man was chasing me at 11 p.m. at night in a secluded forest. I looked back for a split second and the man was still running towards me, still completely naked. He could have my flashlight for all I care. I wanted to make it out of this situation alive. I finally make it out of the forest and I run to my car, which is only 30 feet away from the end of the forest. I desperately get to my car and like a classic horror movie, I fumble with trying to get my key fob to unlock my car. I actually drop my keys and quickly think to myself, I'm actually dead, but I brush the thought off and pick them back up. I get my fob properly, unlock my doors, and throw my things into my back seat before getting into my car. This felt like an eternity, but in hindsight, most likely took 6 seconds altogether. As I try to guide my key into the ignition, I am fixated on the end of the paved path that I was just at a few seconds ago, waiting to see if the naked man was coming still. I feel my key go into the ignition, and I switch my sights onto the road in front of me, and I zoom out of the area as fast as possible. As I drive away, and I'm a good 30 seconds from the location of the horror that just took place, I get a call on my phone. It was my friends calling me asking if I made it to the spot yet, and all I say to them is, "Guys, do I have a crazy story to tell you?" They pull up to my house because, again, it was actually decently close to the campfire area, and I tell them the whole story the way that I told it just now. They swear that it was none of them trying to prank me or anything like that, and I also knew none of them would try to full sprint at me with their dong out. But as we're just talking out in front of my house, there's a college student who looks like he's walking home that's going towards the direction of where I encountered the naked man. I just yelled out to him, "Yo, be careful. There's a naked guy that was chasing me by the bridge that crosses over the river." He responds saying, "Oh damn, really? I gotta go over that bridge to go home." All I tell him is, "Good luck, man." The next day, I reported it to the police by phone, but they sent over an officer so I could tell them in person and show them where in the area I saw these things. When we went to see where I initially saw the man's back hunched over, they said they didn't see any trace of anyone being there previously, but the officers said they would make note of it anyways in case it happens again. Some friends say it's a skinwalker, others say more realistically it's either a homeless, mentally ill, or a drunk high person. One theory I've heard my friends say is that it's a future version of me pulling a prank on past version of me, because honestly, if time travel is real, I would totally screw with my younger self like that. They called us the Middleview Four. Initially, it was just me and the mayor's son, Noah Presley. In kindergarten, we had come together to catch a milk thief who was stealing Noah's chocolate milk. Summer Martin joined our ranks soon after. She designated herself as our fighter since her father had taught her basic self-defense, followed by Eris Kane, the smartest kid in our class. We spent our weekends searching for lost pets and building a name for ourselves. By the age of 13, we were hunting down real crooks. Halloween night, I was still recovering after being tied up in Old Man Critter's kitchen. He was our school janitor and had kidnapped 2 kids. Eris and I almost joined them. There was another mystery we still had not solved. 3 townspeople were found dead in piles of string. Mom and the police were strict in telling us we had no business investigating, but we couldn't help ourselves. That was the night I lost them and my memories tangled. Eris was 99.9% sure we would find a clue inside the string factory. I didn't remember anything past the old wooden door we pushed through. I was found 3 hours later, inconsolable, screaming on the side of the road, my fingers entangled with string. I remember blood-slicked string covering me, damp in my hands. There was no sign of the others, and worse still, when I asked about them, Mom told me they weren't real, that Middleview was a fantasy I had dreamed up as a child. Mom's job was a mystery I couldn't solve, even as a 24-year-old. So, I followed her. Her job was behind a 10-foot wall surrounded by barriers, floodlights illuminating the diner from my childhood, Middleview. It was a TV set. Inside, bathed in the pretty colors I remembered from my childhood, were my friends sitting in our usual booth, frozen at 15. Noah slammed his hands down on the table. "We are so close to cracking this case," he said. I noticed his lips weren't moving with his voice. I started toward them slowly, even when the truth dangled above me. Eris laughed. We're not there yet, dude. Closer. Noah stood up and I could see the reality of him in front of me. His head wobbled slightly, mouth opening and closing in jerking motions. The back of him had been hollowed out, a startling red cavern where his spine was supposed to be. Looking closer, I could finally see them. Strings tangled around their arms, their legs, puppeteering their every move. I grabbed Noah's hand, and he didn't move, but his eyes somehow found me. Noah's expression flickered with recognition before his strings were tugged violently, and he screamed. Marin, he hissed. You. Left. Us. Cut, someone yelled. I staggered back. Allison, why is your daughter on set? Mum told me I was crazy, and every now and then I had attacks. Once while I was playing with the puppets, I destroyed them all, so they were never able to show them to me again. I'm posting under a different name, because this is a throwaway account. Plus, I don't feel comfortable posting under my real name yet. Sorry. So this happened when I was 15 and my little sister was 12. Little backstory here. We lived in this small town for several years and it was safe. A few years into living there, we had a cop with his wife and kids move in 2 houses down from us. Our house was built sometime in the 1920s. A few nights before this incident, our other siblings locked us out of the back door. Us being idiots, we kicked the back door in. The door didn't budge, but the frame came out of the wall and the door was just hanging. One of our blinds were broken. We didn't have the money to fix it. Seeing as my parents had 8 kids and money was tight growing up. Anyways, the blinds were broken behind our TV. On the other side of the window was a garage and our driveway. Next to the driveway on our neighbor's property, which was abandoned and had tall shrubs. What we didn't know was there was 2 people hiding in the shrubs watching us. I'm gonna leave some details out to make a long story short. My little sister's name will be Candace, my name will be Aria. It was summer of 2009. My oldest brother and his girlfriend was a mile from our house fishing about 10 at night. All of our siblings and parents were asleep, besides my oldest brother out with his girlfriend fishing. I was sitting in front of the TV watching TV. Candace was sitting on the bed watching TV with me too. All of a sudden, Candace and I heard a very loud crash noise from the back door. We both screamed. We got up, ran to the phone, and called our brother's cell phone. He said he was on the way because his girlfriend twisted her ankle. He gets home. By this point, we woke everyone up in the house and had all the lights on. My brother tells us to stay in the house. My brother is 6'4", 300 pounds. Unknown to my family, I slipped outside to check with my brother. I know it was stupid of me to do this, but I was a curious kid. I saw my brother being really quiet. He ran back to our fenced-in backyard. He gets within arm's reach of this guy and he steps on a stick. The guy turns and looks back at my brother and takes off running and hops the fence. He got away sadly. I didn't see this because I went back into the house after a while. My brother comes in. He tells everyone that he saw a guy all in black and he's about 6 foot. That is all that he saw. The rest of the night was all calm. My brother on high alert. The next night, my brother was out with his girlfriend wherever they were at that time. It was again about 10 at night. Candace and I were watching TV again in the same spot as last time. Again, we hear a loud crash coming from the back door. We screamed again and called our brother's cell phone. He came home again. The whole house was awake again and all the lights on. My brother goes out and checks it out. This time he didn't see anyone out there. Forgot to mention both of these times. We looked at the back door. Both times the back door looked like it was kicked in really hard. This time around the frame was out of the wall more. The door was leaning further into the house. We didn't make a police report because we had a cop that lived 2 houses down from us. While he was at work, us kids would help take care of his pregnant wife, bring her over food, play with their kids. We didn't really see him much, and when we did, he was so sweet and nice. But anyways, we told the police officer what had happened. He told us that he thinks there is 2 guys, that they've been stalking our house and watching us. The cop comes over and checks and looks. He said, I believe there is 2 guys. One is the lookout and hides right here in the shrubs. He keeps lookout while the other one does the possible breaking in. He said they had to have been looking through our broken blinds. He said at night they could look in, and you couldn't see anything if you look out. After those 2 nights, there was no attempted breaks in anymore. Fast forward to the fall of that year. Our cop neighbor told us. He said, "I'm not supposed to tell you this, but we caught a peeping Tom. He's in jail now about 20 or so miles away." He said that after the peeping Tom got caught, it all stopped, that the town was safe again because it was. Candace and I were so freaked out and scared. To this day, her and I have to have all of our doors and windows locked. We check multiple times a day. If any of our curtains are open, we get scared. We close the curtains every time. I'm honestly afraid that it'll happen again. We no longer live in that town, but that thought is still there.